Hello, I'm Michael Morpurgo, and I want to welcome you to this wonderful book festival in Hertford, 2015, and it's just a joy to be here.
Hi, I'm Ralf Little.
I'm Jake Wood.
I'm Chloe Inkpen.
Shane Hegarty.
Jonny McLachan.
My name's Andy Seed, and it's great to be here at Hertford Children's Book Festival 2015.
What do I think about when I think about writing? I try to think about nothing except the story I'm inside. I think total immersion is why, if it works for me and works for readers, it's when I've been lost inside a book and really don't even want to come out for lunch. I write in a place which is away from the house deliberately, so there's no phone, and I'm not systematic at all, and I'm not at all disciplined, but when I am writing, I tend to always do my fresh writing in the morning, have a breakfast, go over there at 9 o'clock, and then that's it, switch off the rest of the world entirely.
Hi, I'm Callum, and I've been to 2 of the events of the Children's Hertford Book Festival. I've been to the Gala and the Harry Potter. I like reading books and being to events because it helps me with my writing and my reading.
I think I try and have ideas that I feel speak to children in terms of what they might desire at some level. Often what they desire, and Roald Dahl was obviously really great with this, but what they desire comes with jeopardy. But I think I try and connect. An idea will seem like a good idea for me for a kid's book if it connects with some kind of primal fantasy that children might have. So my first book, it was about thinking that there might be some better parents out there somewhere. And in this book, it's about having some device that allows you to control the universe in some way.
Hello, my name is Georgia and I love the Hertford Children's Book Festival. I've been to the Gala evening, the Harry Potter event, Holly Smale's event and David Baddiel's event, and I think it's a really good idea to have a book festival because the generation that we live in is moving more towards technology and all that sort of gadgets, and I think it's good to re-embrace books, and I think authors coming to schools is a good idea because it gets children to know how great books are.
When I was growing up, I had, I suppose, 2 favourite books. I really loved Stig of the Dump by Clive King, about a boy who finds a caveman and has adventures with him. That was my favourite story, but I was always really into facts, and I suppose my favourite book was Guinness World Records. It used to be called the Guinness Book of Records, but I love that book and still do like it.
Did I read very much when I was younger? The honest answer is no. I ploughed my way through Enid Blyton and then decided that really what I wanted to do was set fire to action men and throw them out the window with parachutes, which probably wasn't the most constructive thing to do. But I found reading again in my teens, and that's when I really submerged myself in it and never looked back.
I think in today's world, I think we've got so much going on online, so much publishing online. There's a young man I just met today he's a young fellow who set up his own website to encourage reading of books and get people into them. I just, you've got Kindles and online places, platforms to read books, but there is still something quite special about a physical, papery object in your hand to sit and enjoy and read. There's never been a better time to have a book fair.
Yeah, I'd love to be an author because I just love just sitting there, being imaginative and just thinking of a load of ideas and then putting them down on paper.
My favourite books that I read my children mostly is Philip Pullman's books, which are the Northern Lights, Subtle Knife and Amber Spyglass. So.
My favourite author, and it may not be very sophisticated in today's audience, Enid Blyton. I have to say I loved it. There was always people doing bad things and naughty people, and I think my favourite was First Term at Mallory Towers. And Darryl was left by her parents, but she was very brave, and there was always a very naughty, horrible person called Gwendolyn. So I did enjoy that book.
The 3 key ingredients for a cracking tale. Now, it's a tricky question, but I would focus on beginning, middle, and end of a story, and with particular emphasis on the ending. It's really hard to come up with a good ending for a picture book. And when I started my career, I made the mistake many times of starting at the beginning, getting really excited about a story idea, filling in the middle, being really excited, and then flopping at the end of the story and wasting a lot of time having to throw stories away. So now I make sure I've got my end at the beginning and then work backwards.
Okay, so when I am creating a new character for a children's book, the first thing I do, I kind of have to think about what the character is going to be trying to be saying in the story of the book, and I guess that reflects itself in the drawing really. So I spend a long time doing the drawings first of all, pages and pages of sketchbooks of, I've got books full of penguins and books full of bears of all different kind of shapes and sizes. It's quite funny to look back on them and see how he kind of started out. I've drawn a lot of bears and I've drawn a lot of penguins in my time.
People often ask me what inspires me to write books for children. I'll tell you the first port of call is children themselves, because they'll come up with ideas, they'll come up with themes that they find very interesting. So I'll nick the ideas off them, write the book and then not give them any royalties. So that works very well for me. But the other thing is, I really feel inspired because at that age, at about 9, when I read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it just, something in my head completely exploded. And that was the thing that really pushed me and inspired me to write.
The 3 ingredients for a cracking children's picture book tale, I think, are really good, interesting characters, ones that you care about a lot, and that get involved in a really exciting plot that sort of tears along. And the third one would be lots of really, really grisly, gruesome beards, because I like grisly, gruesome beards in my stories. They're fun to draw.
Being a writer, the idea of being a writer wasn't even like an Oliver Twist, like a what if possible dream. It just wasn't even in the orbit of possibility. So I kind of came to it through a route via a passion for rhyming and performing, but always loved the idea of writing something that could be found by somebody. So I think it's like if you took every book off one shelf and traced the story of each author, you would find that maybe half of them intended for their whole life to be authors. A couple kind of fell into it, and other people would never have dreamed. And yeah, I'm an example of the fact that I never knew a writer, and now I am one.
I always say to people when they ask what tips I have for writing, I always say the easiest and probably laziest answer possible, which is write. Just sit down and write. And when you write, amazing things happen, amazing ideas come out of your head, and sometimes you can think about it too much, but once you sit down and actually write, that's where the magic happens.
My advice for children who want to illustrate a story would be just to use as much imagination and just put anything down on the paper straight away. Start with a character first. Create from anything from eyes, eyebrows, nose, anything. Just anything that stands out, and then create the story around them, and then take it from there.
If I was going to give a piece of advice to an aspiring children's book writer, I would suggest they first of all read a lot, because it changes very quickly. I wrote my first book 10 years ago, and in that time it had transformed and the books become much sharper and funnier.
Okay, statistics say that only 1 in 10 schools have an author in during a school year. Well, the fact is we're so concerned with getting children reading that I think you need an author to go into every school. What literary festivals give is a platform for maybe 10, 20, 30 authors to swarm to an area and to give coverage to schools and to pupils. And as a result of literary festivals, I think children's reading occurs more often, and I think their reading improves because the festival is such a buzz and it's over a short space of time, and it leaves a real spark that can get those children flying.
Well, I think book festivals are unbelievably important. I didn't really ever get to meet any authors when I was a kid growing up, and I would have loved to, because it's just something you don't think that you'll be able to do when you grow up. You know, you think it's something that's kind of out there and kind of unattainable, but when you come to meet us at the festivals, you see that we're just perfectly normal, ordinary, you know, slightly boring people. And I think it's just really good for kids to see that it's something that they can do with their lives. And I just think anything we can do to get our kids reading.
It's so important for children's books to be out there and given prominence and to have publicity and to have a sense of excitement around them. I mean, children's books are so exciting. We've never had so many great books, great authors, an amazing variety of great things to read for all ages in this country particularly, and we should celebrate that. So what better way to celebrate it than to have a festival with loads of different authors, illustrators, storytellers together, actors, all sorts going on. I think it's amazing, and I'm very glad to be here.
I think it is amazing to have the Hertfordshire Children's Book Festival. I'll tell you why, because apparently over 3,000 children this week are going to actually get to meet real children's authors. I can't believe it. So these amazing people have made something happen from nothing. And then we'll all be reading books and being excited, and it's just amazing. Books are really edgy.
As a teacher, I could see the difference reading and books made to children's lives beyond school, way beyond school. And they were the key to success in so many different areas, as well as just being something wonderful to do, to lose yourself in a book. And it's very hard without book festivals to do that. It's very hard to reach children and to speak to them. So they're essential, they're fantastic.
When an author comes to a school, it just feels amazing. You feel like you want to write loads and loads and loads of books, and you just feel like you're in the book.
On the set of Paddington, we got to meet Michael Bond, who is the author of the books of Paddington. And that was so great, because obviously, you know, he wrote Paddington. That's a pretty big deal. And he's such an amazing man. He's so lovely and so warm, and I don't know, he's really approachable, and you know, he was so nice and so smiley, and it was such a great opportunity to meet him. Yeah. I got really starstruck.
Yeah, he's really bright, he's just so full of character. I am currently reading the #1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall-Smith.
My favourite book has to be The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I love how it's written, and it's written in letters, but it's only to one person, so you never get a reply back. And it's so interesting because that way you only see it from one person's perspective. So it's so interesting how it's written, but I love it. It's such an emotional book, and even though I can't relate to any of the characters personally, it did something to me. I don't know what. It's just so good.
It's exciting that an author came to my school. I enjoy reading, and The Savages was a really, really good book. And I'm always excited when an author comes in because I want to be an author, so it's always good.
What's really important is that the young people have priority. They're not just an also-ran in a book festival. The adult writers in the world of adult literature is thought to be supreme. And the other bit stuff for children, that's really rather nice, and it's patronising. Actually, we have to think of literature as belonging to us all, and it is as important to read Alice in Wonderland and Roald Dahl as it is to read Jane Austen, as it is to read Shakespeare. And you won't get to Jane Austen and Shakespeare unless you have first come to a love of literature. So to me, that's why I come to these festivals. They're just a chance to, it's selfish, I love to meet the readers, but also magical stuff can happen.